What the fuck?
What's going on, guys? Big Al's Bike and Auto here, coming at you. And I've been meaning to make this video for a few days now, but I've been getting home too late from work to actually do it because it gets pretty damn dark out here. It's not like Miami where there was light pollution all over the sky, and no matter what hour it was of the evening, it was bright enough to do a video on my shitty cell phone here. So I finally got home early enough to do the video of my newest purchase. It's a 2001 GMC Sierra SLE. Half ton, 4.8, it's the baby LS. 6-foot bed, 4-wheel drive. And you might be thinking, why did you buy another truck? Don't you have the 7700 F-150? I do. I left that down in Miami for one big reason. It's 2-wheel drive. That truck is a great truck. And for that reason, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it down in Miami. Remember, I still go there a lot for business and or pleasure, but there was no reason to bring that truck up here. It suits me much better in Miami. So I knew I had to buy a truck up here. I've needed a truck for a lot of things. Winter is very close. The truck market, obviously, the prices get very high for 4-wheel drive trucks this time of year. And I knew it was gonna get only higher. So I said, you know what? I better just buy a damn truck. I looked at Copart, obviously looked at all the local locations. Didn't see anything I was too crazy about. There was a few decent salvage trucks I could have picked up cheap, and you know, just because I didn't want to buy a nice truck. I never do. I've always bought beater trucks because I beat on them. You know, I don't want to say I abuse them, but I use trucks for trucks, not for driving to the grocery store. So they take a beating, and I always feel guilty if I have a nice truck and it gets scratched and dented and whatever else. So I always buy beat up trucks. That way I can use them the way they're meant to be used and not feel bad about it. And since it's not a daily driver for me, why spend thousands of dollars on a nice truck just gonna sit here most of the time? Doesn't make sense. In terms of practicality, this was the most practical truck could have bought. You guys also know I'm a big GM guy, if you couldn't tell. And buying a GM truck was my goal. Buying a GM truck of this generation was my goal. These are the best ones in my opinion. See, I had a Denali with a 6-liter with 270,000 miles. I've had a bunch of these Suburbans, Tahoes, Yukons, Silverados, Sierras, all with high mileage, and this one's no exception. It's a 240,000 mile truck. Original engine and transmission, never rebuilt or modified in any way, and it purrs like a kitten. And I'll start up in a minute so you can hear it. Now, the reason I bought this particular truck is it is a 2-owner. The second owner's owned it for most of its life, and he way over-maintained this truck, which is what I like. You look at my F-150 back in Miami, same deal, way over-maintained. I mean, anything needed to be changed, they changed it on that truck, and it was the same with this truck right here. There is some negatives to it. Now, this is just the writing that was on the glass when I bought it. It said for sale. I went to a gas station on my way home, wiped it off with the squeegee, and obviously it made a mess. I haven't washed this truck or anything because it's a truck. But this is one of the negatives in this truck. It does have some rot on the bed. However, and trust me when I say this, I looked at this frame for probably 30 minutes when I went to look at this truck to buy it. I was underneath there, laying in the cold ground, checking every possible body mount, every frame rail, every brake line, fuel line, anything that is metal underneath this truck. I checked everything with a big bright flashlight. The frame is solid. There's no rust. Well, excuse me. There is certainly rust on the frame. There is surface rust on the frame. It's a New England truck. It's inevitable. But there's no rot. There's nothing even close to being rotted. And that's because this guy, and I wish I had a flash it with me now. You can see he always coated the frame, and when there was any rust areas, he would sand that off and paint it again. Now, I'm not a big fan of painting frames because obviously you just trap in moisture and dirt and they end up rusting even worse. But this guy's been doing it since the mid-2000s, and everything is solid as a rock. He obviously did it correctly. He cleaned the frame before painting it, and it is in excellent condition. It's not hiding anything. Believe me, I was banging on this thing with a hammer, and it's solid. So the frame is good. On top of that, and then like everything like the shackles and stuff has been replaced. the whole suspension, ball joints, tie rods, pitman arm, shocks, like I said, the shackles. If you can see back here, maybe I have to turn the light on. Look at how clean, even that differential. It's got a new cover, new gasket. Flowmaster exhaust, sounds sweet. All the brakes all around, everything. E-brake assembly, brake lines, fuel lines, transmission lines, any line of this vehicle has been changed. They weren't changed to stainless steel, unfortunately, but they were changed to lines that are coated for rust protection, and they're not rusted, so they're still in great shape. It was done pretty recently. So again, this guy way over maintained this truck, especially considering how many miles are on it. And usually when these trucks get high mileage, people get lazy and say, oh, it's not going to run forever, I'm not going to change all these parts. He kept changing them anyway. And aside from the rod in the bed, which of course would affect this truck in an inspection, however, you can see it's pretty much isolated just above the fender flares here. Now you can tell he put these bushwhacker things on here at some point, probably when the rust was just over here. I'll probably just go with some bigger fender flares, and whatever I can't cover with those, a little bit of sheet metal, drill it in. That's all you have to do up here to pass inspection. It doesn't have to be pretty. As long as it covers the rust, it'll pass. And that is the only rust on the truck, the only rot, I should say. You can see that the cab corners and rockers are repaired. I have the receipts for everything that's ever been done in this truck, right back to 2005. He spent $1,500 on each side between the cab corners and the rockers. I have pictures in the glove box of what the rust looked like before and how it was repaired. Now, unfortunately, because it was done so many years ago, this rocker has started to rust through again. Not terribly, can definitely still be fixed. You know me, I'm not going to fix it the right way like he did. I'll probably just sheet metal or duct tape or something just to get that sticker. This is a beater truck. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to pass inspection, run and drive, and plow my driveway. I think I already talked about that. I'm gonna get a plow for it. So I'm putting a plow in the truck soon, obviously, because just like the truck market is getting very expensive, so is the plow market for a used plow setup. So believe me, I'm out hunting right now. As soon as I find a decent deal on a half decent plow, it's coming home and it's going right on this truck. Now let's talk about the mechanics of this truck. Like I said, did I talk price yet? If I didn't, I paid $1,000 for this truck. The seller had just listed it. I went that same day. Believe me, I said earlier in the video, I've been hunting for almost as long as I've been up here, you know, about a month. And I've looked at a lot of trucks, I've looked at a lot of junk, because I didn't want to spend more than $2 grand, which to get a decent truck up here for $2 grand is very hard. Usually you have to pay at least $4, and they'll still have a little bit of rust and some issues. So this guy had just posted this thing. He was asking $1,500, which was already cheap, and I knocked him down to $1 grand on it. It's got 4 tires that have at least 65% tread, and they're all matching tires, which is great for the transfer case, which, like I said, if I haven't said it already, that's been replaced very recently in the past few thousand miles. Brand new transfer case, under warranty. So no issues with the 4-wheel drive. 240,000 mile truck. Engine and transmission have never been opened or rebuilt. This guy was religious about fluid changes. The differential, the transmission, the engine. Frequently changing the fluids, keeping this thing well maintained. It never plowed before, it never towed anything. It was just his daily driver. That's why it's got a lot of highway miles on it, 240K. And wait until you see how nice the interior is. This truck was really well kept. Again, the only thing that makes this truck look bad, besides the fact that I haven't wiped off all this residue yet, which, Lord, I hope it even comes off at all. Okay, it does. This is the only thing that makes it look bad. The rot and the miscolored tailgate. That's because he said something had banged the old tailgate, it had a big dent in it. He called it a smile. So he changed it for this one. But I'm gonna probably change the whole bed eventually if this ends up being a good truck anyway. So didn't really care. Again, I couldn't complain for $1,000. Not for a GM truck of this generation, this well maintained. So all new brake lines, fuel lines, new fuel pump, pretty much everything. Everything that fails in these trucks, And that's why I love high mileage vehicles. You guys have heard me say this time and time again. You think I'm crazy, but if a truck was owned by somebody who maintained it well, or a car or anything, by this mileage, all the original parts, especially with GM cars, because we know that the engines and transmissions last a long time, but it's all a little bullshit. The solenoids, the sensors, the pumps, the lines, all the little bullshit that fails in these vehicles, right? The drivetrains go forever. It's everything around the drivetrain that fails. So if someone took care of their vehicle and it reaches this mileage, that stuff has all been changed already. And that's the case with this truck. Everything is new within the past, 30, 40,000 miles. So it drives like a new truck. Now, let me show you guys a nice little bonus feature this truck has. I didn't even need or care about a truck having, but I'm certainly not mad that it came with it. Take a look. My fingers are so cold. There we go. You can see it fires right up. No knocks, no ticks, nothing funny like that. And again, it's 30 degrees out here, give or take. Starts right up, runs super healthy. Now we have one new issue with the truck that developed. Stay Coochie. By the way, look at how clean this interior is. And it's got that same exhaust bracket rattle that my F-150 does. It just started happening about 2 days ago. I located it. It's one of the welds that holds the exhaust on. It's just flapping around, so easy fix. You can see we have some service lights. Check engine lights on for EVAP. I ran the code. Airbag light, couldn't care less. And the brake light was not on until yesterday. But look at the interior, how pristine. There isn't even a tear here. You know these trucks always tear right here. Look at how clean everything is, armor-all. This guy took excellent care of this truck. Look at the door panel. It's in better shape than my Escalade with half the miles on it. So the new issue this truck has, oh, I forgot I just did the auto starter. What an idiot. Well, let me fire her back up and we will. Good oil pressure, good voltage. All right, now the key's actually in. Now I shouldn't be able to push that brake pedal all the way down with my hand like that. Never mind your foot. So I lost brake pressure. Now it's not the brake lines. I even double checked. They're all brand new from the master cylinder all the way back. That's the good news, because brake lines are not cheap or easy job to do on these trucks. What happened is, and what I'm guessing happened, I haven't confirmed it with a mechanic yet. I think the master went. I mean, that's the very common symptom of a bad master cylinder. Brake pedal goes to the floor and the reservoir is leaking like crazy, and it's leaving spots in the driveway. So I don't know for sure, but that's my best guess. This was full when I left last night to go pick up some stuff, and you can see it's just about empty. So I didn't even realize, granted, on my drive home I started losing brake pressure, but the guy that I met up with calls me and goes, "Hey, your truck left a massive pool of something in the driveway. Just make sure you're not losing oil. We want you to blow up your engine." So I said, okay, something's not right. And the brake light came on. I got back here safely, fortunately, but obviously I have no more brakes. So that's why it's parked back here, where it can kind of leak all over the gravel here. I don't really care. But you can hear how quiet that engine runs. 200, what did it say on the odometer? 239,000 miles, purrs like a kitten. It's one of the reasons I love GM so much. These trucks never die. New window regulators on both sides. Like I said, tons and tons and tons of new parts. Heat works, AC works. Let me show you. This is just some of the service records right here. So tons of maintenance history on this truck. For $1,000, you cannot go wrong. I would have bought this truck for $1,000, even if the brakes weren't working when I got there. But I got a few good days out of it before I had any brake issues, and it's already paid for itself on how many things I've picked up from my house I've been waiting to pick up because I didn't have a truck bed. Now the Escalade fits a lot of stuff, but I get height issues. Things that are too tall for the Escalade or too wide. that's where the truck comes in. So I've already gotten a lot of use out of it. Kind of sucked this happened so early on, but hopefully this week I'll have a chance to take it down to a local shop, confirm what the issue is. You guys can chime in the comments, but the leak that I'm getting is in this area, and all the brake lines are new, the pads are all good, the rotors are good, so, and obviously we're losing brake fluid. Leads me to think the master's bad. It's fine, it doesn't even look that old, it's pretty clean, but who knows? It might have been changed at 120,000 miles and now it's bad again. That's typical GM, and then obviously the Chinese aftermarket parts market. No ticks, no knocks. That Flowmaster is just the right amount of sound. It's dual Flowmasters back there. Not too loud, not too quiet. It sounds great when you're going down the road, but since they're axle back, the drone's not killing you the whole time. So even though I shouldn't, I'm gonna take you guys for a quick spin around my property in the truck so you can hear the exhaust, see how it shifts and stuff. By the way, even a new battery. I mean, for $1,000, I could part this truck out. Just the healthy engine, the transfer case, and the tires to get my money back. And that clean interior. I have not seen an interior in these trucks in that good a shape in a long time. But I won't do that. It's a good truck. I'm gonna fix this brake issue and carry on and get back to using it like I bought it for. But aside from that little hiccup, it's been fantastic. And it will look even better when I clean it up and do something about this rust in the back here. It sure as hell won't look like a $1,000 truck at that point. Come on, buddy. Come on. Ugh, bastard. Didn't want him to jump on the seat with his dirty paws. And there he goes. That nice back seat. Again, something I didn't really need. I didn't care if it was an extended cab, but it's not a bad thing. Although I will say I would trade the extended cab for a long bed. I definitely prefer having a long bed truck. However, the deal was too good to pass up. Ooh, a little bit of a burnout there. Well, a wet burnout. Oh, I still have brake pressure right now, actually, but I'm sure it's going to keep going to the floor. I do have brakes. It just, the pedal goes right to the floor, but it will stop the truck. Definitely not as safely as it should, but it does stop. It's not like it's a zero brake situation where you're putting the pedal down, nothing's happening. And the e-brake is new, it works great. So nobody flip out at me in the comments saying, what are you doing driving it? You can hear how healthy this engine sounds. That transmission shifts right away without any hesitation. Goes right into reverse without any hesitation. The fluid is pink clean and not burnt. The oil is clean. It needs an oil change, but it's clean. There's no water or anything weird in the oil. It's still a nice gold color. And that's what I look for, guys, when I buy used cars. Obviously, I'm looking for the best possible deal, but I'll sacrifice things like a rust-free bed for the kind of maintenance history this truck has. And things that are very important on these trucks, like new brake lines and all the lines, that right there is a big job. And also the transfer case. You can buy a 200,000+ mile truck and the four-wheel drive may work when you buy it, but you don't know about the future. And that's like one of the main reasons to even have this truck, is obviously they have it be four-wheel drive, which is impossible to find down in South Florida. For those of you saying, geez, why didn't you just ship up a truck from Florida with no rust? Well, trucks go for just as much money down South Florida. Actually, in my opinion, even a little bit more, because there's a lot of guys working the trades down in Miami who need trucks. And from my experience of watching Copart down there, obviously bidding in Copart, I've bid on trucks before to flip. They bring stupid money, even with 300,000 miles on them. At Copart, they'll go for over $1,000. That doesn't even include the fees. And then if I bought the truck down there, I'd still be paying for shipping afterwards to get it up here. All sight unseen, by the way. I could get it in, the transmission slips. So without doubt, I had to buy a local. I looked at Copart every week for trucks. Again, they're going for crazy money even in Copart, and you don't have any maintenance history, you got nothing. You don't even know if the transmission's any good. Big risk when you're buying a truck. Not so much when you're buying a 93 Buick for $250 like I always do. When you're buying a truck, transmission and transfer case, very important. A little risky to gamble through the auction. So I always prefer to buy my trucks and SUVs private party. like I did with the Escalade, even though I had Copart at the time. So you can see she drives like a dream. It doesn't really stop like a dream, but I'm gonna fix that real soon. Feel free to chime in about what you think's going on with the brakes. I'm guessing master, maybe the brake booster, but I think it's in that vicinity of the truck, especially because that's where the fluid's leaking out at. But I'm gonna spruce this thing up a little bit, but really it's a work truck. You know, I'm not gonna change that rusty bed until I absolutely have to. All right. So that's that. Nothing more to say about the truck. I know it's not the most exciting purchase. I know you guys prefer when I buy things from Copart because of the whole mystery and the bidding and everything, but you know, sometimes I know when you're better off buying private sale, and this is one of those scenarios. So if you're bored by this, sorry. Come on, buddy. It is what it is. That's the story, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of the truck, and that's it. Keep an eye out for the next one.